Hello friends, welcome back to GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm the GM Philosopher. Today we're talking about player motivation, what drives them and how to tap into it. Every player who sits at your table brings more than a character sheet. They bring a longing, a desire, a hidden why behind the reason they're playing TTRPGs. Whether they know it or not, there are truths and answers to all of these questions. And your job as a game master isn't just to run the world, it's to understand what drives them to be in it and to want to continue. So we're going to go ahead and go right into this with point number one. Know their fantasy, not just their class, okay? Ask yourself, why did they choose a bard or a warlock? It's not just mechanics. There's a fantasy behind it for them. Maybe the warlock longs for forbidden knowledge. Maybe the bard wants to command a room that finally listens. When you tap into that fantasy, the mechanics become less important than the story, and that's exactly what you want, friend. You want players to be so invested in the story that you're creating together that the mechanics just become a feature, not the primary motivation for the class, the build. Ask yourself, what dream are they chasing that is more important to them than stats, to lead yourself to the answer? And this leads us to point number two, learn their emotional palette. This goes hand in hand with that. Some players want tension, others want levity. Some want tragedy or to work through hard, challenging, different types of trauma or situations or challenges. Some want triumph. It's really important to pay attention to what moves your players. And some of this you can learn in session 0 by asking them, but some of this needs to be discovered on the road, along on the journey. Figure out what makes them lean into the story, what makes them laugh, what makes them go quiet, what makes them put their phone away and really pay attention. These are the cues that will let you know when you're hitting on some emotional heartstrings that are very close to these players' desires for the game and for the character. That's where their motivation lives, okay? You want to track the moments that they feel the most and back engineer those to build narrative hooks that will reflect their values, which is actually point number 3 on our list. Build narrative hooks that reflect their values. Now, before I dive into this, which is probably my favorite part of this process, I want to invite you to join our Discord community. Links in the description. The GM Philosophy Discord community is a community dedicated to empowering game masters to run better games. If that sounds like a mission for you, come join us. We're almost 500 strong at this point. Bunch of game masters running awesome games. I also encourage you to click that subscribe button and that thumbs up button to stay aware of new content when it drops. All right, let's talk about point number 3. Build narrative hooks that reflect their values, okay? Does your player love justice? Right? Well, give them moral gray. Do they crave chaos? Let them be the fuse for something crazy. Whatever they value, you want to mirror it back to them. Build it into your unique and individual arcs that you're planning for those characters, at least that you plan to present to them. You want to provide challenges that are well matched to the types of narrative hooks the players want their characters to embark on. Every player has desires for what they would love their character to do. And if you can find that out and tap into it, and then just present them with opportunities to go down that road, friend, you're going to grab their attention. They're going to buy in wholeheartedly. They're going to be so motivated to continue to become even better at role-playing in your game. It's going to be a whole new level of experience. Use the world to ask them meaningful questions, pay attention to the answers, and then present those paths to them in the story, and you will not be disappointed. This is going to lead us to our final point. Reflect their growth back to them. If you want to keep your players motivated, there's almost nothing better than consistent in-game feedback, and I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that in just a moment. First, I want to just let you know that you can grab my top GM tips, the 10-minute GM Mastery Kit, for free. Links in the description. This is an ebook that has compiled the 10 most important pieces of GM wisdom into a 10-minute read. You want to level up your next session, friend, grab this. It's free. Literally can't lose. Besides, when you grab it, you'll join my email list. I sometimes send out cool stuff in my email, so you won't want to miss that. Now, let's talk about reflecting their growth back at them, okay? Motivation deepens when players see their character changing. It also deepens when they see real world implications for what they're doing, and when they see that you're paying enough attention to what their characters are doing, that the world is changing as a result of those choices. This is so important. This goes beyond just saying, "Oh, I see what you're doing, roll the check." This goes beyond that to telling them subtly, but in a real sense, as a GM, without saying it, that I see what your character is doing and I care enough about it that the world responds in kind, right? This is really important. This gives players the feedback they want to see, okay? Show them the NPC who once scoffed is now standing in awe because they saved the village, right? Let the village they saved erect a statue for them. Maybe people building the statue even, try to collect a little money. They're going around basically taking up an offering saying, we have to thank these heroes. And maybe there's even a weirdness where they start to worship them as a kind of a new god, and maybe it gets weird, okay? Remind them that they've evolved through the story. Once there were lowly adventurers meeting in a tavern to get a job that paid, just barely any silver. Now they're having a statue erected and they're being treated like demigods, okay? When they feel that kind of energy being reflected back at them, that's going to keep them motivated, and they're going to want to continue that story. They're going to want to go deeper, deeper, deeper down the rabbit hole. Make them feel the arc they're writing with real consequences, with real feedback, and this is good and bad. I'm not trying to say to punish them or to be a terrible mean GM or to be overly coddling. I'm just saying we want to measure it and use common sense, real world feedback to show them, hey, these characters matter. This is their story. They are driving the story, and you can see the evidence of that everywhere they look because they are in the center of it, okay? Now, I want to close this out with one more point. Motivation isn't necessarily a given in TTRPGs. In a way, it's discovered, and you as a game master can give the players the roadmap to do that. The deeper you see your players and show them that you see them, the further they'll follow you into their story. This builds trust. This also builds collaborative energy, friend. Find out what moves them, feed it, and watch them come alive. That is my advice for how to get your players super motivated in your game. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm here almost every day, creating content to serve our goal, which is to empower game masters to run better games. Thank you so much for coming back. I'll see you awesome people on the next one.